Look, I don't wanna see my face up there.
There you were.
Oh, my God.
If you start talking.
That owl sees
Then
it.
I'll get you.
It automatically goes.
Or whatever.
They're beautiful.
But listen to them carefully,
This
and they
morning,
do
we were
what you're-
beautiful.
Signs
This
and
morning, these
symbols.
two people.
They said, just show me.
I have never
Oh.
seen them. And so I thought we
Okay.
could chase them.
Thank you.
But at least he's fighting, right, Eula?
And the other. one
At least he's fighting.
nation with a
He
big
is.
swing.
Yeah.
He's
So I
definitely
went
fighting
out
out. He's back
yelled
home
and I
today.
garbaged in.
Okay.
He was in the hospital last night.
That one,
Um,
I said, yeah, I
They
wouldn't even
was
go
supposed
for
to
a
have
walk.
surgery today, but the doctor said, nope, you don't need surgery. And they sent him home with instructions and God knows what else.
But that's
After
what
talking to
we're
White,
here.
find out what they
Mr.
sent him
Flores.
home with.
Yeah,
But, he's home.
good.
I think that poor guy's getting.
I know. It is not. I don't know who that belonged to. Oh, okay.
I just wanted to be.
I say I moved it, but you know. My hands are clean though. Hey, that matters, Lee. Come on now.
That's true. That's
I want to search somebody else's bottle and
Dick is.
not have it
40,
matter.
Okay.
140.
She's 142. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is that Vivian? Bill Peterson?
It could be, it's real close to where she
Yeah.
is.
Oh, crap.
Wow.
Just recently?
How are you?
Sirens report.
Yeah,
You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, thank you.
Anything else is there?
That's your surgeon too, that's you.
When the sun comes out.
What's that?
When the sun comes out for good.
Uh,
She bought four
But we didn't
houses.
get enough rain or snow, so
Be Vivian.
Mhm.
we're gonna have a pretty bad season.
Well, said there's gonna be a good drought.
Oh, yes.
Responded.
Supposed to start from February 20th all the way into something. But I said February 20th.
Yeah,
Gonna be a trip. I mean, to me, I get to get on my motorcycle stuff.
right. I get it, I understand.
Who did?
Well.
Oh, okay.
See, I didn't know that. He did.
23rd of November.
The 20th of November. Yeah, yeah, and I just found out. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't either until somebody did something on program. I did not know.
I see the girl quite a bit, you know, family.
Yeah. Well, that's what she did.
Huh?
I know, I was shocked.
Oh, I just, all this,
Busy today.
That's symbolic.
5:30.
Okay, 5:30, time for us to call our meeting to order. Please all rise for the pledge allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm just that. Okay. Hey, roll call. Miss Sherry Kessler,
I,
Mr. Felix Flores.
Yeah.
And Mr. Lee Harris.
Yeah.
And Eula Johnson, all present and accounted for. Item number 4, approval of the agenda. Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve the agenda. As second.
Motion to approve the agenda was by Mr. Flores and seconded by Mr. Lee Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
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 4 ayes, no noes, no abstentions, and no one absent. Public comment. I didn't get anything, so we have no public comment? No? This is moving quickly. Hearing none, moving on. Okay, number 6, filing a vacancy of board of directors according to policy 4097. Action item for the board to consider candidates and vote to determine a majority of the board agree on a new board member. And it looks as though we have a couple of applications. One from Danielle Bowman. That's her name, yeah. And the second one from Mr. John Everett. Okay. Open to the board for discussion on the first candidate, Miss Danielle Bowman.
She's not gonna be president, or does she's, what happened to her?
I have no idea.
She's been at the last 3 board meetings and she works at the school. But I'm not sure why she's not here
Is
tonight.
she still eligible since she's not here?
She is.
Her application's here, yeah.
Anybody want to go first? Good to go?
Good to go.
I looked at both of them, and I looked at her and what she does with the school, and she's a secretary. And if I'm not mistaken, she helps with different events and she works with kids. And she's vice president of, I guess, the union on the base, which is CSEA, for 7 years.
Whatever you're reading off there.
Her application.
Right.
So I think she would be a good fit. A lot of knowledge, knows regs, probably understands budgets since she's a president of the union, which we work off budgets and stuff just like anybody else. So I think she would be a good fit.
Madam President, I'd like to make a correction on that. She is a union representative for the school union. Not.
So it's CS,
Yeah, that's for the school.
that's for the school?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it says CSEA.
Mhm,
For
that's
7
the
years.
school.
Mhm.
thank you.
Any further discussion on this candidate?
I have a question, a statement.
Yes.
Is she on the school board too?
She can't be on the school board. When you are working for the school, you cannot be a school board.
Oh,
No,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, I didn't,
I know.
I had.
Yeah, yeah, so she can't, yeah.
Further discussion on this candidate? Nope. Okay, hearing none, moving on to the second applicant, Mr. Johnny Everett of Herlong has put in an application. And I have gone over his application myself personally and read from all of his past experiences as being a board member for both HPUD and West Patton Village. Little League president, high school football assistant coach for 4 years, United Way president for X number of years, 50 years of running his own business, and currently is a board member of Sierra Alliance and the past Boosters Clubs, helped with the VFW, and is currently a volunteer for a Family Resource Center. Having said all that, and also having been a board member for her own public utility district and have much knowledge as to the past of what has gone on with HPUD, I would recommend that we consider placing Mr. Everett in this position. Any other comments?
Yeah, I have a comment.
Right.
Concerning Mr. Everett. He just resigned not more than 4 months ago as president, when we had the biggest project going on in this community. Okay? And he walked away from it. Do you really think he deserves to get back on the board?
I do.
We need new people.
I-
We have a young lady that's very knowledgeable. That's the kind of person we want.
That's your
We
opinion.
don't want somebody who walks away,
That's your opinion.
doesn't take that responsibility.
That's your opinion. And I'm.
I was taught that way, Eula.
I'm not,
The United States Army taught that.
I'm not.
You
arguing-
never give up. You never walk away.
I'm not arguing with you. Point of
Can
order,
we have a
Mr.
little
Flores.
respect, please?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to point of order you. You don't raise your voice in these meetings. You state what you gotta say and move on. Anyone else have any opinion on this candidate?
I just texted Danielle to see if she would be here, and she said that her cousin was in a really bad car accident and she's with family right now. It sounds like maybe not expected to live a very serious way.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Mr. Everett.
Being I was attacked by Felix.
I'm not attacked, I told facts.
Felix, if you knew the history of it, the project was completed on December 12th. And I stayed the completion of that project. And I'm the one that walked with the state people and to approve that situation. That's when I retired from doing it. That's when I quit, was when the project was done, sir. You are wrong.
How can it be wrong? You resigned.
Yes. The day the project was done, I did not quit during the project.
When did you got elected for how many years?
That's irrelevant. I'm
It doesn't
sorry.
matter.
Point of order, point of order, point of order.
How can
We're
that
not
be a
here
point
to
of order?
discuss the past. We're not here to discuss the past of what he did right and wrong. We're here to consider him for this position based on the information that we have on this application.
And I understand that, Eula. But we're always talking, we want to find younger people in the community take our place. Well, we have someone who finally
The only
wants to
people-
be on the board and
the
we're
only
ignoring it. For
people out
why?
Here for consideration is this one and that one, okay? Based on the information that we have sitting here before us, if you have any questions of this candidate who is sitting here, not to argue about the past, but to talk about what his intentions are for the future, or any one of us, and I suspect that includes the audience as well, go right ahead and state whatever your concerns are, questions, or what have you.
I think what everybody in the room, including the community, should think about is that Felix, myself, John, you have been on these boards for 20+ years. I think it's time that we start, as the community, start getting these younger people involved, because they're gonna take our place. If we don't have people to take our place and we can't fulfill a board, what happens to the district? You know,
I hear what you're saying.
so I think we should consider that when we make the choice, and that includes everybody in the room and for the sake of the community. Because if we can't fulfill a board and the supervisors can't find a board to appoint, then who's gonna get the district? You know? And if they give it to Susanville, or the prison takes it over, because ultimately it's theirs. You know, so I think that's one consideration the board should make when they make their decision.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay. Any further discussion? If there's no further discussion at this particular time, I would like to call for a vote on Miss Danielle Bowman, signify by raising hand. One raised hand, Mr. Flores, signify by no, raising hand. We have a 3-to-1 vote for a no for Ms. Bowman. Moving over to application for Mr. Johnny Everett. I would like to say have signified by raise of hand, vote yes for Mr. Everett for this position. We have 3 yeses. Signify by raising hand, voting no. And 1 no. We now have a new board member, Mr. Johnny Everett now is seated on this board. Item number 7. Minutes, review and possible action approving the minutes from the January 28th, 2025 regular board meeting. Any discussion on the minutes to approve the January 28th, 25 regular board meeting? If there's no further discussion, I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, motion to approve.
Ms. Cuthbert made the motion to approve the minutes. Need a second? Mr. Harris seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. All, for no? Any abstentions? Mr. Everett, I think has to abstain.
Yeah.
We have 1 abstention and we have, 4 ayes. No nos. Number 8, financials. Review and file preliminary January 2025 financials. B, review and file clerk register.
It taxes your January check register and financials. And balance sheets, we've got our annual rebate back from our credit card, $3,000 for using the credit card last year. Also, I need a separate, approval for the expenses for both staff and directors, included in that. And then I know we had a small discussion about the auditors, but they will be here April 14th and 15th. Which is
Are we gonna still use the same one?
we had that discussion last year or last week or last month,
Yeah.
excuse me. And they are, because they were under contract, it would be for 2024, but we will be going out for an RFP
Right.
this year for 2025.
Question? Yeah, questions, discussion, anything concerning the finances? If there's no questions or discussion, we need to review and file the preliminary January 2025 financials.
And
That-
the expenses for 2024 for the directors and staff.
Right, okay. Do we need a motion to approve that?
Yes, or you can include it in that motion.
Okay. We need a motion to,
Sorry, I don't know where that thing's.
review and file
That reminder
preliminary.
that came up on this machine and it wouldn't let me get rid of it.
Hit the X up there. Hit that.
Well,
Sandy,
when I
hit the
hit
X.
That's what's
Is it-
giving us the bad
Oh.
guitar sound.
All right. So we need a motion to approve of financials B and C.
I motion that we approve the financials as read. And you said,
Mhm. Mr. Harris motion to approve the financials as stated and read. Need a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Casper seconded. All in favor, say aye. Have 5 ayes. No objections. No abstention. Does he have to abstain on one? Yeah. Does he? Cause he hasn't had this information, so he's gonna have to abstain on this one also.
Yeah, I had time to review it.
Yeah, so we have 4 ayes, 1 abstention, no nos. No one absent. Number 9, the fire department updates, calls and updates.
We had 12 calls, 10 medical and 2 possible fire calls in January. One was an alarm at the school. The other one, was a small structure behind a home in West Patton Village. That was handled. And the medical training was 211. So Dawn is continuing on with her medical Tuesdays. This was the last Tuesday that it's kind of varied with her new schedule. But she also works the ambulance along with being a volunteer firefighter and teaching. So, the 11th was cardiology and airway. So our local volunteer has been going to the medical Tuesdays. Wow. Yeah, this is kind of big. It's 74 weeks overdue. It's old. Wow. Okay,
All right.
computer's having its own issues tonight.
Let's go. Any discussion on the fire department updates? I had a conversation with a board member in reference to us still needing to try to get volunteers to get onto our fire department. And it's just extremely difficult. I don't know if there's any suggestions from anyone as to how we might go out and try to recruit people. It's extremely hard to find people who, number one, qualify, and 2, are even interested in doing a volunteer service of any kind.
No, there was an article that I did read that talked about doing a open house at the barn. And that might be something to entertain one evening, to maybe when it gets a little warmer in the evening, do an open house at the barn and maybe do some flyers. I don't know, maybe something that auxiliary, I'm looking at you too, auxiliary could help and we would support. Maybe be there, have Mike there, and maybe if it, I think Hunter is usually off on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, so maybe Hunter would be available too. If we did it like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. And then, kind of see if we might have to offer drinks.
Offer food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be something, to get them to come out, but maybe we could, have applications and maybe plan something for May or first part of June, in the evening. I don't know, that was just, I was reading, they were saying a lot of times to get volunteers, they invite them, do an open house at the fire. So we could, put the fire trucks out and, let the kids come out and, just a thought.
That's good.
The church is having a bunch of people for Easter Sunday. I don't think it'll be exactly Sunday, probably on Saturday. And they're gonna have a bunch of people on it. Everything is free. And different organizations are welcome to come and do that. Maybe we could get into on that one there. And then my grandson, I think so. I'm not positive a date. And then I think May 31st, my grandson's gonna have a car show again. I think it's gonna be on this ballpark up here. And that might be a good time to show the fire trucks and maybe have somebody there have applications for fire department. And found that one is a fundraiser, could have a fundraiser at the same time with that one. But with the Easter one is all just donations, it's for the kids and stuff, so that's a total 100% donation for anybody like to. I'm on the board over in Doyle at the senior center, and ladies are gonna make a bunch of cookies and stuff to give out free and stuff to the kids. So it's all about the kids on that, but might be able to have a booth as long as there's nothing to sell, or now you think maybe that'll be a possibility for exposure. At both of those.
I was wondering if we could possibly invite the depot as well. Depot Fire Department, since that we work hand in hand with them all the time.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more show with the big trucks and stuff that they have and all the people that they have.
The kids would enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah. If they would, like to come in.
So would
Visit
my,
with
would
us.
my two fire auxiliary members like to put together some information and well, huh?
He couldn't sign the paper because he says he's not here. Said you wouldn't sign the paper because you said you're not here.
Could you give kids rides on the truck? You know, no,
Yeah.
No, maybe in the cab, but I wouldn't let them.
Oh, no, yeah.
But you got it in a liability issue there.
No, but you know, if you did like an open house with that front gun, we could actually do like now you could have a water balloon gun, you could actually have the kids take turns trying to shoot I don't know, a dummy or something with the water gun.
Let's see, what dummy of the board members should we?
Talking about a statue.
I'm sorry, I couldn't
I volunteer,
resist.
but I believe that I shoot back.
Not in my rear end, so no, this wouldn't be something you'd want to
Yeah.
be aiming at people, but if you had a safe spot.
Yeah, well, I do remember when I was working with the school, when I was teaching over there, that we would have the students go to the fire department and they would do things like that. But that was on the depot, so they were able to do that. Off the depot, I don't know if they would do that or not.
I talked to the school, they were gonna try to they were really pleased with our, one field trip yesterday or last year, and they were looking at possibly doing a couple this year, and I said, well, you know, where they went mainly to, the younger group went to the elevated tank and the, wastewater, that maybe the older kids could go to the wastewater, and the ones that are walking, I could actually take them to the elevated
Right.
tank in that area, and maybe to the office, as a walking field trip. And then take the older ones. So, but I haven't heard anything back again, so we're just kind of waiting. And I mentioned the fire department with those same group that they didn't get to see the fire department. They were what, third graders, second graders, third graders?
Yeah.
But they could go see the fire department this year since they seen the water and sewer last year.
Right.
So we're trying to keep that viable for the kids and be part of the community. Oh,
At one point in time, Andy, I think you and I talked about possibly getting a fire chief from Janesville or elsewhere to be a part-time fire chief for us. And have you been able to look into that at all? To see if someone would like to be paid or volunteer to do that for us? And that way we would have someone who could handle the training and, yeah, all of the paperwork that goes along with being a fire chief, the administrative stuff. Have you had a chance to look into that?
you know, we talked about it, there was that fire, it's been so long ago, that fire chief in Janesville's actually retired. Is no longer with Janesville. I don't know if the fire chief volunteers in Milford, because he was in on that conversation a couple of years ago, whether he would consider coming and training here and. But it's just up to the pleasure of the board, what you folks would like. to do. As we had mentioned at one point in time, looking for like a retired fire chief that would come like a couple days a week and do training and keep the barn up and make sure we have all the equipment and go forward with that, but we just never, nobody wanted to pay for somebody to come, so.
Is that an item that the, go ahead, Ms. Flores.
At this time, do we have lessons, Sam? I mean, are you organized on the administrative side of it? We just need somebody to make presentations?
We're doing all of the reports in-house that we report to FEMA and to the state, all done in-house, which is usually the fire chief does those, but our people have been running the fire department the last few years aren't computer savvy, and so we've been doing that all ourselves in the office here.
But what I think I'm trying to relate to, you don't have a lesson plan. So when you're instructing, you verbally tell them how to do it, and then you actually do hands-on. Do you have that part yet?
We have a lesson plan book, and I've also, like in the winter time, when the past, when we've had 4 or 5, well, 3 to 5 on our Vector Solutions through SDRMA, they have a lot of fire classes, so we've taken quite a few classes online for training when the weather was bad, in-house, but I haven't had anybody that will lead out with the instruction book. And with one person, you know, just glad that he's willing to go to the Medical Tuesdays because, you know, 95% of our calls are medical. So that's kind of keeping him on a monthly basis, training wise. But we're ready if we have people to to fill in and have lots of volunteers. But
Another thing we need is more auxiliary members. So when, if we get some kind of thing going where we have a group of people around, like at the car show or whatever, signing up for, you know, or looking into getting on the fire department. We might look out and get some more volunteers for the auxiliary. Because right now, it's Jim and I think, and that's about it, right?
What?
Auxiliary,
Yeah,
you still a part of the auxiliary, right?
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, you and I,
I was gonna call you about that.
yeah.
I know Vivian, of course, I don't know after tonight, but Vivian mentioned to you about helping you at one point.
She talked about helping but not joining, yeah. Mhm. Yeah, because we still, if I'm not
And Teresa
mistaken.
talks about helping but not joining.
Don't we want to talk about Teresa? Yeah. We still haven't had anyone sign for the cash.
Yeah,
That right now, that money that's in the auxiliary account is sitting there with only one signature to be able to do anything with it, and that's Grover White.
correct.
And he's no longer part of the fire department or any of this. So if we need money to buy anything or do anything, right now, we're dead in the water.
Well, why would his name still be on there if he's no longer a fire department volunteer?
Because nobody's gone down to the bank to.
Well, then who needs to do that?
We went together one time
Uh-huh.
and they sent us back. Remember that? Sandy and I,
Really?
Grover and I went, can't remember why they sent us back. For some reason, they did not allow us to do it.
So he couldn't take his name
What
off of
bank
it?
is it in?
Yeah, what
At the
bank?
Sierra Credit Union,
Oh,
Oh, they're real tough now.
yeah.
They're following the book.
yeah.
So then how can you, what
I
are
think
you
they
gonna
wanted
do?
minutes or something, and then you said you were trying to figure out, you know.
Yeah, I think that's what you gotta have paperwork showing reason why you're taking him off and adding somebody else on.
They wanted minutes from our auxiliary meetings.
Oh, but you're not having any meetings.
No. No. And they
I
were-
bless you
we
for
were-
having a meeting. Go ahead, do it.
Here you go.
We were
There you
Have a
go.
meeting right
We
now.
would have
There you go.
plagiarize ourselves as having had a meeting, and I felt uncomfortable with that.
Well, if you and Jim get together, that's a meeting, right?
This is, when you set up an auxiliary like that, it's gotta have a board just like this,
Oh.
you know, and you should become a viable nonprofit. And I think there's one that it's not like this one, it's a different, it's for local communities that want to start a fundraising thing. It's not as strict as this, you know, we don't have to vote, you know, elect them, you know, we can just appoint. But we do need a board because you have to be accountable for that money,
Well,
you know, because if you're taking money from the public and you say, and you got accountants, you say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. With your money, we're gonna buy X amount of turnouts, X amount of boots, or whatever we wanna, support the fire department with. But it has to be pretty much like this, you have to have accountability for the money you take in.
With us not having enough members to have a board, because we don't have any auxiliary members other than Jim and myself. If we walked in there honestly and said, our chief, who was the fire department chief, is no longer a chief on the volunteer fire department, nor is he an active auxiliary member, what do we do now?
they would want it all in writing.
From whom?
They want that information that he retired and that you guys are the thing. They want something in writing.
Of course.
And like I said, just you guys having a conversation, we're coming in here at lunchtime and just saying this, I can type something up that says that he retired and you two are on the board and you're the authorized signatures.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Who, is this board responsible for the fire department?
No. Oh, for the fire department?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
okay.
But not the
not the auxiliary. The
No.
auxiliary
Okay. So. Since the board is responsible, why can't we get something on our agenda to give permission? Okay, and we put it all in writing as minutes. That Eula and Herbert and Jim can go down there and change it in their name. We'll have exactly what they wanted. We'll have minutes, we'll have a vote as we are oversee the fire department. And the old cliche is, get the job done and ask for forgiveness later. But we're gonna get the job done.
I don't know if she would accept it.
But it's the idea we can try. We sit here, but we can try to do it and hand it to her.
Maybe find out exactly what we have to do.
Yeah,
I mean, if she's got regulations or
He does.
paperwork that says exactly step by step what we gotta do.
Well, 5 years ago, all the names that were on there, Heidi Friend, and there were several that had left, and Grover was the only name that was current. And so at that point, we got everybody that was no longer here, one way or the other, was taken off and just Grover's name, because they were gonna send that $1,700 back to the state because nobody had been using that account for years. So we took care of that 5 years ago, but we've been trying for the last 5 years to get somebody's name on it besides Grover. But if you would talk to Jamie, because she's the key person to talk to, and say, hey, Grover's retired and you and Eula are, what do you need? Because really
Yeah.
there's.
I would think we'd only need Grover to go down there and say, okay, I want to sign the bank account over to Jim and Eula because they're going to be
They
starting.
didn't let.
They wouldn't let us,
Huh?
Grover and I went down there together, they wouldn't let us do
I'll
it.
find out.
Yeah,
I'll find out.
yeah, and the other thing that kind of plays around in my head, and I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but is it gonna be a problem because I am on the board?
No,
No,
Okay,
it's only elected.
okay. Okay,
it's no different than you volunteering for Northeastern Rural Health Clinic.
true, okay.
One more and then I'm out.
Okay.
On the benches, are you gonna still think about putting more benches? You're gonna fix those too?
Oh, yeah, we're talking about, that's coming up in a different area.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay. Any more conversation about the fire department? If not, we're moving on. Number 10.
I have a suggestion, Danielle, maybe she would be interested in being part of the auxiliary,
Danielle, who-
or the gal that was also running.
Maybe get her started.
Yeah.
Good suggestion.
What about Lori,
Who knows how to get it, Lori? Who?
the one that used to work at the store?
Oh, that wanted to get the store.
Yeah,
I haven't seen her. I don't know where, if she's still.
and she has a daughter.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, she wants to get involved. I mean, she doesn't have a job now. But I don't know, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So Sandy, that's her name, Danielle, is that?
Is it Danielle or Lori?
No, I'm talking about
Oh, I'm
Danielle,
sorry.
the other gal that was putting her hat in the ring for a board position. Maybe she would be interested since she's not, hasn't been selected. Maybe, you know, she would want to be part of that.
That'd be real good, 'cause I don't, personally, I'm not trying to be the officer of nothing. I just want to be a member. I know, I've played that game once before, no, okay. Any further discussion? If not, we're moving on to, item number 10. Shaw Engineering update, information and updates on the screw press.
So Ellen was not available to be with us tonight, but I included his email with the electrical engineer and, his comment was the potentially deliver the bid set in mid to late March, maybe early April. And what you see attached is his pictures of the electrical diagram on what we currently have and what we need. Just for your information. And we're still working on that project as the board directed.
I looked at it. I read about it. Does anyone want to talk about it, discuss, or have questions?
Yes.
Just trying to keep you guys in the loop.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. If there's no discussion on that one. Item number 11, coming up, rate study continued conversation, reviewing possible direction to staff to proceed with Prop 218 for rate increases, decreases.
So this board as directed, we went forward and did a rate study. And came back with some fairly large numbers that we all didn't feel comfortable with. I did ask the rate study gentleman to reduce the sewer by 5% instead of the 10% that he had going, so that would help. Part of being on this board is being good stewards of this district and making sure that we are a viable district in the future. And one of the things that the rate study gentleman had brought to you folks, a couple of months ago was that if we didn't up the rates, that we would be using what savings we have to pay just our normal bills, therefore taking away any kind of savings that we may have for improvements or infrastructure in the future. So looking at two things that I would suggest is one, we go back and look at our reserve policy, because when he was putting together those higher rates, he really was looking at the reserve part of policy and if the director that helped put those reserve policies together in 2020 was really thinking of this district as a full-blown corporation and funding our depreciation, which really means that we should have a lot more money in savings. No district funds depreciation or has that much money in savings. Just to bring that up. Well, I was gonna grab it. So I think if we go back to a standard special district policy, a little more vague than the dollar amount of funding 25% for this and 50% for this and depreciation. We could lower our rates and not be as stringent going forward as he had suggested. I mean, I still think that going forward, we need to do something, but, no, that's a good idea. That way everybody can see it.
What you do without me.
You don't wanna know. So, and I got these all. So this was the wastewater, and originally on the wastewater side, he had suggested an increase for everybody. Well, the first year actually would be less than $1 decrease, but by the end of 5 years, it would go from the 64.34 to 94.20. His second suggestion, when I went back with the 5%, is going with the 64.34 per unit. And then in 5 years, we end up at the 17.21, because that's a 5% increase instead of the 10% across the board. Then on the water side, one of the questions that everybody's been asking for, with that service charge is, we need to be equitable across the board. It costs this district the same amount to fund your house as it does Serco, as it does the depot. Electricity, the people working on it is the same dollar amount. The USDA loan grants, they had been paying $38 for debt service. He's suggesting that's not totally paying our debt service, so we change that to $42.11. And then change the facility charge for everybody to $30. So what it would look like for the West Patton Village's bills, you would have, instead of having that $84, you would have a $42 debt service. Meaning that would be our savings that you've talked about and everything, and then the $30.98 would be the facility charge, and that's what it costs us to bring water to your home. And then that would go up with an increase. So the first year, actually, on West Patton Village side, it would go down from your 84 to 73.09. And Serco's customers, Serco has always been really good about paying for the debt service, so they've never seen that $38 that Serco's been paying, or 28.06. There's different things. Their customers only seen the $20, so their customers would see the 30.09 or 30.98. And then the debt service would be for everybody, so whether Serco is paying it or the individuals are paying it, would go. So for West Patton Village, from your 84, it would start out at 73.09, and in 5 years, it would end up at 86.24. So basically, you would have a drop on the water side for West Patton Village. And then end up in 5 years to be $2 more than you're paying now.
So that's just for the water, not the sewage.
Correct. And then the water we've had since 2018. So that's terrible to say, because we're almost 10 years ago, we up to a $2. And so what he had originally suggested was that we do a 10% clear across the board, or go down to 8, so it'd be 238 to 339. When I'm going through the finances, I really feel like that if we did go from $2 to 238 and then just do a 3% increase. So at the end of 5 years, you'd end up at 275 per 1,000 gallons instead of $2.
That's not
That's not bad.
bad.
That's not bad.
So,
I think the most important thing, everybody's paying the same. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the difference though too is Serco's not paying for the service fees.
right,
yeah, they are.
Oh, they are?
Serco pays
Oh.
for it. They've always had. They pay the
Oh.
USDA loan.
Right, but they're not
They're
paying
paying
for what the work that has been done in West Patton Village.
no,
They're not paying for any of that.
Well, no, because they did their work.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
We're paying for ours that we did in 2012.
Right,
And
right,
that's USDA loans and debt service. We've been paying that all along.
right.
The customers, we turned over the water service to them to pay their own services. I think it was 2014, somewhere around there. But they've been paying, just like I'm a customer as well, I pay the same bill. So, but as Serco, we've been paying all the debt.
Mhm.
We still continue to pay the debt.
They pay the debt on the mods, they
Mhm.
pay the debt service for the USDA loan.
So you don't pass it through to your customers?
Not that,
they-
no,
Or your
we
rent.
pass the water on.
That's
The
it.
water is the only thing that they've been paying.
And the Serco pays all of the sewer.
We pay everything else.
So they're one.
Yeah,
they're
it's a
one-
big bill, trust me, I see it
Mm-hmm.
every month.
Wow.
Yeah. So is HPUD, the sewer for Serco, is that on?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh, really?
we got off
Even
the
though they
SIAD
did
a
an
long time ago.
ISS, they did an ISS grant,
Mhm.
and so they actually, got all of theirs in, the Indian Rancheria got a grant to put it in, and then after it was inspected, they gifted it to HPUD, so it's still our responsibility if there's a problem with it or future infrastructure, we'll have to replace it.
Mhm.
But, you know, that portion, and it's the same with you guys,
Mhm.
you know.
So I got a question. How close are we to our max right now? You know, we picked everybody up. It's for, I guess the word I want to use is for volume. Do we have enough?
Master plan that you got last
Right,
year,
right.
you know, that
It was
has,
at a high percentage, if I'm not mistaken.
we were at a high percentage. I will tell you that the prison is way down in numbers. They've been at 1,400-1,500 and they're at 1,000. So they have less prisoners, so their volume in water and therefore their volumes in sewer has gone down. Pretty much we thought that, you know, what we have here, we can take on a little more. But like if Carrick wanted to develop that, his part of his developing fees would probably be to bring in a third water tank. You know, into developing that. When that merchant or Heroes Landing last year, they spent $25,000 for our engineers to look at what it would cost to bring water out to right before the plant there. And that was, I've got those numbers on my desk. I'm thinking those was like $500,000 to bring water lines to that little neighborhood. Because all of those, unfortunately, fortunately or not, fortunately for the fire department, those are all single parcels. So we get paid for all of those, where at one point in time, they were one full parcel. But those 32 parcels there, I want to say it was about $500,000 to bring water to that they would be responsible to as a developer.
And Sandy and the depot is still dealing with they're getting their own water, right?
No, we have 5 of theirs, and we have their laundromat. And they still with the contract pay for,
Mhm.
the bowling alley.
Mhm.
We have the gym and we have, what's the 4th one?
Skedaddle in.
Skedaddling.
No. it
No.
flows to
chapel.
Oh, the daycare,
The daycare.
the YS, no? No.
The chapel.
No.
Anyway, that's fine. Barbara, don't worry about it. There's 4 that they pay for in the contract and we just renewed their 10-year contract, and which I was hesitant knowing that we were doing the rate study, but Tracy assured me that we'd be able to adjust our rates as the board
Mhm.
approved rates and the community approved rates.
But as far as the depot, they've got their own water. We're not, you're not
Correct.
supplying them.
No, back in the day, and Felix can
Yeah.
remember, there's a butterfly valve that when we wanted to really be able to help each other out.
Yeah,
And they denied doing that because we have a connection right there. So if they needed water, we could help, or if we, for some reason, had a natural disaster and we needed water from them, they could. And even though they gave us that grant money at $6.8 million to connect to West Patton Village, because they
Yeah.
paid all of you guys' connection fees.
right, okay.
So.
But that would bring more revenue in though, if the depot got on board.
We're trying to be self-sufficient. That's why they're putting a solar array. They don't want to owe anybody money, civilians.
Hmm.
That's their new DOD mandate, that all bases get away from going to the civilians and ask for energy.
Hmm.
They're gonna produce their own. But I do have a question. My understanding, their wells, because I was in it when the contamination, They, their water is, contaminated,
Is non-potable.
non-potable, okay, yeah, non-potable,
Yeah.
okay. So, but my understanding, their wells, they're down to what, 2 wells now?
I have no idea.
Yeah, but they're all rusted.
I know that.
Well, that's
my
what I'm
husband
saying.
works on-
Eventually, down the road,
Brings 5-gallon, the big 5-gallon water jugs home and fills them at home, twice a week for his staff
that because
and to make his coffee.
when I first got here, in 95, when I got here, they told me it was, I did it for their soldiers.
Yeah,
They gave them bottled water, and I asked why, because they said it
yeah.
wasn't fit to eat, I mean, drink.
They pay us.
Well, the 1997 studies, I have the
Yeah.
actual studies.
And that's
they're
for the-
horrendous.
They are.
For the laundromat
Yeah,
and.
cause it went to a
There's lead,
couple, a lot of meetings.
There's so much in the water out there. And they're gradually starting,
Like the
they're still
deli.
worried about old wells that we have on our property.
Or not.
And they wanted
And
to
the
check those out to
VFW
see if there's any ground
has that service,
contamination,
and
which
so
there
that's-
isn't, because we check them ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what, right, Bill?
Hmm,
So.
That was June.
okay,
Do we
yeah.
have
Put it
the,
down.
are they?
Yeah.
Yes.
When people-
They are.
Luckily, right now, everybody's senior
So how
citizens
far
and
does,
stuff.
how
Right.
far down, Susanville
remember when I
Road
got
does
here.
our system go
Before,
down
you
as
know, I
far
was
as how,
30
all the way to
or-
395?
All the
Like if
kids
people
are-
wanna hook
Yeah.
up to the
All the
well.
kids
Fort
from-
Stewart is experiencing
you know?
that now too.
So,
Yep.
it's eventually, it's gonna, they're eventually gonna come, it'll be a while.
So.
Right, but beyond that, no,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't even have our water going out to the plant.
Right.
We have non-potable water at the plant.
Oh,
So it'd really be nice to have a service line down Pole Line Road. And
Yeah.
that way, like all those on Pole Line and.
Right.
Right. So anyway, I don't know, that was our next steps. We did this, and I'm thinking maybe Felix was on the board back then when we did the Prop 218 years ago. Because we switched, our water rates back then was like $1.60. We did 10 cents a year for 4 years, up to $2 a year. Which is, a lot of work for staff, but it's something we need, that this is to keep everything viable. It's something that we,
yeah.
as much as I hate, we need to, and we spent the money to be good stewards to find out what it was gonna cost. And I think, the next thing is re-looking at our reserve policy, so somebody doesn't say, hey, you're underfunding, because the reserve policy says this.
Mhm.
And then be moving forward with a Prop 218, which would secure that staff would need to send out to all of our customers, what the proposal is, and then this board would need to have a hearing. And as long as we don't have 51% of the community, saying no, and it would move forward with the proposed rates.
So you will have to put out a letter to
Oh,
the
yeah.
residents, yeah.
Everybody would know ahead of time. Yeah, and
It's
like,
mandated by law.
yeah, then we'd have to hold a hearing.
Yeah.
If there's any questions or comments, and
Yeah. I don't think it's the water that's hurting people, because we aren't paying that much for water. It's the service charge for, yeah.
The facility.
Yeah, the
service
facility,
charge
yeah.
well, and
is
that
what's-
will now
yeah.
be broke out into two. So you have your debt service at
Mhm.
42.11, and then your facility charge would be the 30.98, and that would be what we're.
Okay, so the facility charge would go down then, actually.
Well, the entire water would go down,
Mhm.
because right now you're paying 84.06.
Yeah, something like that. Well, we're
And
between that and the
so-
sewer.
You're paying 84.03.
Okay.
So basically, your total fee would be 73.09 for as soon as this would take
That's not
effect.
bad, that's not bad at all.
And then at the end of 5 years, it would be 86.24, so it would actually,
But that's for everything.
no.
Just for
Plus,
water.
how many
Just for
thousand
water.
gallons of water?
Wishful thinking.
Oh,
Well,
you're never gonna see these kind of numbers like the old days anymore. They're gone. I realize that now, no matter what you do, it just,
Mm.
everything's up, but that's for almost $14. What, if this gets passed?
Mhm.
So, I mean, the community can see that we're trying to lower it and wait for future use, and future use, hopefully, things will happen here. And there's gonna be more developers and everybody,
And more
a lot of
revenue comes in.
influx of investments will be in our community. And then things probably will change dramatically. So,
Oh. There's been trying to be changes a long time ago.
so I think they'd be
and they're
pleased to
not-
see the
and I
$14
don't see
change.
Any of them. Yeah, like who is it? Somebody wanted to put a mini storage out there on 395. That was how many years ago? Over 10.
Title IX,
15
Title VIII,
years.
remember, was gonna be
But you
developed.
you guys
too
remember
with,
the county,
Yeah.
the county stopped everything. They wouldn't let us do anything. They said, no, you can't do it. No, you can't do it. I mean, there's a lot of people well, I can't believe the guy who bought the gym and stuff. He's really accomplishing a lot of stuff, you know,
That bought the what?
The
gym?
gym.
the gym area.
Oh, the old, yeah.
The new guy.
Yeah,
Who was that?
Oh, his revenue is coming from away from here though.
Buckles.
Who?
Mr. Buckles.
Buckles.
Yeah.
Did they remove the fiberglass underneath?
yeah, he stripped it entire down to the dirt. And he redid the whole thing. He took all those beautiful hardwood floors, he threw it all away.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, he took it and saved it. He didn't throw any of that wood away. And Dan sold that
Yeah.
to the new guy, which is the fabricator that makes floats and stuff for
Burning Man.
Burning Man, yeah.
Okay, so they're affiliating, because I talked to Owen, the guys that were cleaning all those bikes for Burning Man. So they're also affiliated with the one at the end, the old gym. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he put that stuff out there.
Yeah.
He doesn't own the bikes. He
No, I
stores
know.
he stores the bikes
Yeah.
for out there. And he has people come in and clean them and he gets paid for storing. He actually builds those floats and
Yeah.
stuff down there,
Yeah.
all that stuff in there. It's pretty interesting
No
guy.
joke. I go by there, I almost wreck looking at that stuff. Okay, if there's no further discussion, we spent a little time, quite a bit of time on that one.
Direction from the board, if you would like me to move forward with bringing back those two reserve policies and moving forward with a Prop 218 for the proposed rates that are in your binder and what I have on the board.
Is that what you want us to finalize? That go ahead and do that? Your numbers that you want to put up? So we picked
Yeah, I feel like
What-
those are much better.
the ones you just discussed was the two,
Yes.
70 something, whatever it was. So that's all we need is that motion for you to proceed that particular
218.
218 and using those numbers.
I'd like to bring back to the board another reserve policy so that if somebody questions us in the future, that saying that we're not reserving according to our reserve policy, that it's a little. I don't wanna say vague, but it would be a little more vague than and this is what it must be, you know? But I would take a template like I was originally given from California Special Districts and have that for our reserve policy instead of a corporate reserve policy.
So what you did here, Sandy, what you're talking about is to give us the lowest.
Correct.
Okay.
Because if we went with the reserve policy that we have,
Mhm.
then we would have to go 100% by what the rate study gentleman put together, because that would
That
help
would be
fund our
outrageous.
reserve
Let's do it.
Yeah.
in the future. But as a small district, we're really not for profit. We just really want to be here for the public. And yet have enough funding that if anything breaks down, that we, like I've tried to tell this board for years, with the 2 USDA loans, it's not like we can just pop out and grab a new loan. Because we have 2 loans, grant you they're, 12, 13 years old, but we still have another 20 some years on those loans.
Mhm.
So it's nice to have enough cushion that if we have a break and it's gonna cost us 250,000, we have it in our bank account. Do we need $2 to $4 million in the bank? No, and this community would die if we had that in the bank.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be gone.
So.
We'd be gone.
Yes, John.
So is it, if we do this rate cut and bring it back up in the 5 years, are we gonna be able to sustain and have enough money where we're gonna be fiscal, to,
Yes.
In good shape, I should say.
Well, and in as good a shape that we're in now, which I feel well comfortable with.
Okay.
I mean, in 5 years, we can always reevaluate and see, and maybe by then we have more community or, that could actually take some more of the slack up too. If we get Carrick to go and if they need Ranch Rita make those mods into apartments.
I wish. I've been fighting that for years. Trust me.
Oh, I know you have.
Mm,
I was so excited when you guys, but the nice thing.
That was
like
my
I said,
baby.
it's
That's my
been-
project.
It said idle and nobody was paying.
Could've used it with all this construction coming in.
$500 a month.
There's a lot of
in debt
guys.
service on
This
that.
costs a lot of money to move dirt.
I know. Trust me.
So that's helpful for our USD loan. Yeah.
They probably rent out the rest of your houses though. When it does. On the new project from the base, spending what, 5.6 million? For roads and all that kind of
The
stuff.
new driveway.
Right.
7-lane driveways.
7-lane driveway, yeah.
Yeah. It was him.
I think.
Through railroad.
That's in
Close to
here,
it.
it's in here, it's quite a bit of money, but yeah. Yeah, I will go ahead and entertain a motion to go ahead and, ask Sandy to, review and direction to go ahead and proceed with, Prop 218 for rate decreases / decreases. Need a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Flores did the second, you Johnson did the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
We have 5 ayes, no noes, no abstentions, and no one absent.
Sandy, you need a motion for you to readjust
The policies.
the policy.
So I was just gonna ask you,
Okay.
does that include the policies?
I could make an amendment to the amendment.
Amendment to the motion.
What it's called is, you can make an amendment to the amendment.
You got it, Felix. You're making an amendment to the motion.
Yeah. Well, they call it the amendment.
To add
That is so confused.
the policies. You got that?
So you're gonna add the policies to change, or,
Yes, we're gonna change two policies.
so, all right. So this one, so who's making the motion to do that one? Are you gonna?
Felix amended the motion to the post.
To amend
Yeah.
the first.
But that's a tongue tire.
I'll make a motion that we review the policies that are necessary to complete your arrangements, to get it done. I forgot what it was. I think that'll work.
You need a second.
I'll second that. Whatever he
What's the
said.
motion?
The motion is to move forward with the Prop 218 for staff and to bring back the 2 reserve policies to the board.
Oh, okay. Yours is the abridged version.
A bridge to the bridge.
I know that's a tough one. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Not good.
Because we still have a lot of work to do, but.
Okay, moving forward. Yes, number 12, organizational meeting, policy 5010. The board of directors shall hold an annual organization meeting at this regular meeting in January of each year to select board officers. The board of directors need to elect a president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and clerk to the board. It was tabled from the last meeting of last month. And at this time, I shall turn this over to Ms. Sandy.
So it's an annual meeting and like she said, you tabled it from last meeting to this meeting. So I would entertain a motion for a president.
I'd like to move to appoint Mr. John Everett as president of the board. And motion. Need a second?
I'll say yes.
Who said that?
Me second.
Me, Mr. Harris seconded that.
Do we have any other?
Any other
nominees?
nominees? Oh, I'm sorry. Run over
It's
that.
all right. Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
4 ayes and 1 opposed. So motion carries. Mr. Everett, as president of the board, and I'll turn that over to you, and you can get a vice president and a secretary. And, clerk.
You have a motion for vice president? I'll vote for you, okay, to be vice president.
I'll say.
It's been board second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Oh, deja vu.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Need to go for secretary,
Secretary treasurer.
treasurer, yes.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Ms. Kessler
Yes.
for secretary.
I second it.
I said.
He seconded that.
I did.
Seconded it.
No, it
Uh-huh.
doesn't matter.
Now, you
All
can turn
those
down
in
those
favor
conditions,
of
right? You could turn.
Sherry
down-
Kessler being secretary treasurer, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, okay, carried. Okay,
And then I had suggested,
in our secretary treasurer clerk of the board, I think we should nominate that lady in the green over there, Miss Lee.
I'll second Barbara.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Carried. Okay, GM report.
all right, we have a Sierra Alliance meeting tomorrow night, probably be at Cat House, you're all invited, 5:30. I think everybody, but now our new board member, Johnny, I'll have to get your 700. But everybody else has turned in their Form 700. The SDRMA Safety Days is March 26th. I didn't know if anybody wanted to go. I know you and I, if you'd like to go. Perfect. Felix,
You learn a lot from those classes.
good. I'll get you a room and thing. Sherry, would you like to go?
Yes.
It's a good class. You learn a lot.
Okay.
Okay, so I've got Sherry and Felix, and I'll get you guys signed up in the morning and get your rooms and email you that information.
Okay.
And then we'll fill out a mileage sheet for you, and, they'll, like I said, you got breakfast and lunch there, and then, you can do your 2 dinners. Well, there's actually the night before, there'll be SERMA is doing a, hosted, like hors d'oeuvres and stuff. Probably still want to eat dinner, but they will have drinks and hors d'oeuvres the night before. As a mingler. And then all of you need to work on, including myself, Super Sherry did pass one class, today.
I did.
So everybody needs their ethics and their sexual harassment training. So we need to get on board on either CSDA or however you guys want to do that. You want us to sign you up and send you the links?
Yeah,
Yes.
that was on mine, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You, Lily,
Yes.
yes,
Mhm.
Johnny,
Yeah.
Felix, I'm gonna sign you up and send you links so you can watch the 2 hours online.
Oh, my God.
I pick a date when I want to do it.
So your discretion.
Yeah, I guess.
You have 30 days once we sign you up to take the class.
Okay, let me get it organized and I'll, call you what day I'm gonna do it. Okay,
Oh, you do.
cause I don't have
You don't have to tell me. I just.
I don't have a computer.
You can always come in
Yeah,
and here also in the conference room, and you can do it here if you'd like.
I'll find a place.
all right. We'll work on that too. The Greenway, hopefully you've all seen. I'm so excited. Sierra Little Electric team came out, and Jason's crew and Mitch and Royce and Dakota and Owen, and they worked 2 days out there, and I thought
That's
for
good.
sure that they were not gonna get that all done in 2 days. So. I
They got
was-
it done in 2 days?
Two
Oh,
days.
wow, good
2
for
days.
them. Looks good. I saw the pictures on our our
Newsletter?
yeah, bulletin that she sent out. Yeah, it's good.
So, what I would like to do, or with the board's authorization, is get somebody local to redo the 2 benches that are there and then buy a 3rd bench. The other thing I was thinking, because the school had asked about possibly putting a sign there, and I said, well, yeah, that's our property, but they never came back and told us when they were doing it, where they were putting it, or if it was okay where they were putting it. But what I was kind of thinking, and that's why I did this, is maybe at the beginning there, or where that gap is, the post is there, we're still gonna put some fencing in there. But I was thinking maybe where that fence quits, put just a sign at that level that just says, using our logo and say Memorial Walkway. Right there, and then bring the fencing back out to the end and have a bench at the end, so that way when you start the walk, you have a bench, and then rehab the 2 benches that are in there.
That'd be nice.
The other thing, that water fountain isn't usable, is if we destroyed that water fountain and possibly maybe like at that area. I know, one of the public members was like, oh, it's for the homeless, but I don't know if you've ever been on any of the trails or like the Biz Johnson, they're just a little bit, it's only like 4-foot overhang, but maybe where that water fountain is, take that out and build a nice board that either we can put the names up there, or I know there was a member that suggested possibly other people putting names of loved ones in the community that have passed away up there too. And I wish, because we don't have Parks and Rec money to maintain that after our grant money's out, is maybe charging like $50 for the initial plaque and then $10 annually if somebody wanted to put a family member's name in honor of them up there. At least it would help bring in a little bit for the maintenance on it.
You could
Just
add the
ideas.
names, right, like to the bottom, like you could add names.
Well, and I
Like
was
a big
even, I
plaque
was
and then
even
put
thinking that you
Yeah,
could
something
do,
like that.
anybody want to, these are real reasonable and they're durable, but you could
Right.
actually put like a name, like this kind of deal, and that way they would be either nailed or screwed. probably
Yeah, make sure
screwed
you
into
nail
a
them down.
board. But it would have, a list, and if somebody wanted to put their dates or in honor,
Yes.
whatever. But if you allowed like this much room,
Mhm.
or as you wanted to add to it,
Yeah.
but have maybe use the names for that area instead of have the 3
That's a good
benches,
idea.
instead of just putting those plaques on the benches and then worrying about how that,
Yeah.
fills up.
Sandy, I would hate to see that fountain taken out because that's kind of a memento. It's been there for years and years. Cause when I used to walk that, I'd stop there and I know it's not working. There's no water, but just to know that it was there for years. I would really hate to see it.
Make it a light.
down.
I think we should.
Make it a light, get a pole, get a solar,
That's a good
get a
idea.
solar one, as big as you can,
Yeah,
you got a light at night.
It's not that tall, you could actually put the sign above it.
well, yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
Use you
Do-
could use the
yeah.
water fountain as the
Right.
base for a sign.
Right, but don't tear it down.
Why don't we make it, Herlong Veterans Memorial Park?
Oh, I like that.
And we had so many veterans that have
Yeah.
passed.
Mm-hmm.
And, in this community, that would
All
be,
from cancer.
Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
terrible.
that way I'll get my name up there someday.
Oh,
Is that what you're suggesting? No,
you gotta stay in flat.
I like that. Yeah.
Dang.
If we did have.
Yeah.
First, we would get your name up there someday.
Well, yeah.
Have it as a veteran.
A veteran, yeah. There you go.
Thank you,
know,
sir.
My husband's a veteran. Yeah, he
But
was in the Vietnam.
I got one that you said about the bench again. I was looking some stuff up, DIY stuff. This guy made them and they came out really, really cool and he made it out of cinder blocks. Approximately for each side of it. Okay, I think there's 2, 4, and 2 up, so there's, I don't know, I'll just say 10,
yeah,
okay? And he made it, the wood part, he put it in the, what cinder blocks, all right, the opening. That's where he put the 4x4s.
Right.
And the back too. I added it up, and I haven't been to Home Depot in a while, but I think you could do each one for probably $100 to $150. So you could make more than one, because if you buy one, the ones you showed us to buy, they're what, 800 and up.
Well, if we're not gonna put names on the chairs or the benches per se and put names in a more local spot, you could do a more reasonable bench. But and just rehab, cause I'm thinking, take those boards off and use that Trex wood on the, on the rocks that are there now, so that way it stays, and it's a lot more viable, and it's gonna withstand our harsh weather around here.
Mhm.
But, you know, we've got, you know, we've got about $15,000 that's in there to finish up the project, and that's including buying plants and maintaining this piece of property for a while. So I don't would hate to use all of it if we gotta keep it for maintenance a little bit, but you know, Barbara did look at the arbor. She had a conference call today with the arbory. And they will give you little seedlings. They had suggested that possibly we get a bunch of those seedlings and then have FFA at the school keep them for like a year or so to help grow. It's been 5 years, guys. I want plants out there this year.
Yeah. And you're gonna get plants that they don't suck up a lot of water. So, yeah.
The gentleman I spoke with the Arbor Foundation, we could get larger trees.
Mhm.
They're looking at $50 to $60 per tree. He is going to do some research to find out the best kind of trees, and I told him that we would like evergreens,
Mhm.
Christmas trees, so, you know, and shade trees also. The only thing that he did ask that I didn't have a clue as to is how many we might want to put there.
Yeah.
Like I said, the larger trees would cost money so that they can purchase them. We purchase them from them, and then shipping to get them here. So
So you don't have a plan right now to
We do.
determine, you do?
There is something. Melissa from Every Blooming Thing actually mapped out a plan that goes around our waterers out there. But there's just been different ideas of different plants and different ways to save money. You know, and maybe that's something that we get some in the Arbor Day and see and start them at FFA, and whatever plants we lose in the first year, we would have replacements for backup, you know?
If we were to buy the $60 trees that you're talking about, and you brought them in and say, my family wanted to buy it, that tree, and put it out there, and Felix wants to buy one, or Lee might want to buy one, whoever, Johnson's, you know, and we could buy the tree if you got them at that reduced price, and then plant them. And then people in the community could buy a tree, and that'd be a tree. We could put a little plaque by the tree saying it was, the Turk family donated this tree, okay, type of thing. A Krupa family donated
Patty
it.
suggests just go out in the mountains and go get some trees.
Yeah.
It's against the law.
Huh?
It's against the law, Patty.
Oh, yeah, you get in trouble.
Here's my type of gal. We'll ask for forgiveness.
Oh, sure you. Yeah.
It's poach some trees for the forest.
Okay.
So what are we gonna call it? We gonna call it Hurlong Memorial Park?
Yeah, well, it says right there,
I
Memorial
think
Walkway.
we should vote on it, and I think it should be Hurlong Veterans Memorial Park.
Well, it says Memorial Walkway, so maybe Veterans Memorial Walkway.
Well, originally this was started because of the HPUD, and they wanted to remember, Pat Williams and Don Armstrong that's passed, and old board members, and I just thought since we were kind of including everybody, if we put Memorial Walkway, you could have separate sections, veterans, and separate sections for
That's what.
the other.
with a separate
Don't
signage,
matter.
a separate signage for the veterans also.
Right.
Oh. Don't get out of here at 6:30.
So attached to the GM report is the information on the tank from Coleman and Coleman's been working on an RFP, so probably more information than you want, but it does have information that we would be putting together for an RFP to have a tape refurbished. And then the barn property, just wanted to remind you all that barn property was kind of, I guess, gifted from the depot, West Patton Villages. In 2020, I got it into H. Pud's name, but they come every 3 to 5 years to make sure that we're using it for what we said. And originally it was for health services. And I got it qualified over for the fire department and emergency. And they seem to be happy with their inspection and the compliance. The only thing that she had asked me is how come we didn't have all the property fenced? And
Property what?
all the property fenced.
Oh,
Fence that whole
over
piece
there.
of
And we
property.
asked her if she had money to give us to pay for that fencing.
Good for you.
So, and I understand why now, like in 2017, when we first was, merging with West Patton Village, why Pat paid and had to have that fence was because that's when they were out the last time and said it needed to be fenced. So he just fenced the fire department or the fire buildings, which saved in the long run money. But they actually wanted us to fence the whole thing.
Are you talking about the state, those people? Is that the state?
No, this is the Sierra Army Depot Emergency Management.
Federal.
Oh. Okay, federal.
So that was depot property.
Yeah, but
It was depot property.
what do you call it?
For the
Their
barns?
time's up. When you give something in the BRAC, it's only for 20 years, if I'm not mistaken.
This, I don't know how, but read this whole information because it even has a contract with West Patton Village and everything in it.
Oh.
Yeah, they were, was,
And so-
that was given to,
Right,
through Health and Human Services.
right.
Yes.
And
That was the
they were
stipulation.
supposed to do something. The big plan was, and I think you remember, they were gonna put a business center there.
I
And
remember,
that never came about.
right.
I remember that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was Health and Human Services and I got it for the fire department that it was allocated that was okay to use it for that.
And so is that lifelong that they can say that? I mean, is there like a 99-year term that is over?
It
or
might
what?
be a 99.
That's what I'm thinking.
I would check, Sandy, under the BRAC rules. Because I worked with on BRAC a couple times in my career and like
But this wasn't part of the BRAC. This is like what Jim is saying. It was
No.
gifted to West Patton Village for the purpose of Health and Human Services. That was,
But I'm still wondering if it's a 99-year clause.
no,
No, it's
never heard
forever
that one
then.
before.
So it's forever.
it's ours,
Lifelong.
but we have to do something with it.
we
Right.
have to keep it as that,
Yeah.
keep it up. And they just want to make sure that we're doing with it what they originally gave it to us for, what we're allocating it for.
And it can't be for, private use, it has to be for public.
Right.
Right.
So
So
it says here that the deed of conveyance for each and every program surplus property stipulates that all of the subject property must always be used and maintained for the purpose set forth by the program application. Periodic inspections of properties will be made by GSA and FEMA to ensure continuing compliance with the terms and conditions of the conveyance.
I'll be damned.
So they just
FEMA, huh?
are gonna be here forever.
Yeah, like.
Remember when we got that deal?
No.
Thank you, yeah.
You'll remember when we got that problem. Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have.
Director's report, okay,
I got one.
well, let's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sherry first.
I don't have anything, other than I'll be on vacation in April for a week, like right after our meeting, so other than that,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
I have a brand new grandson being born, so.
Congratulations.
okay, Felix.
Sandy, the section of land by the plant. Is it leased out to anybody?
The 600 for.
Yeah, yeah,
Ours is not leased out.
okay. Well, I just trying to get my logistics together. I also, if I'm not mistaken, we have land over by the pumps. Is that correct? How many acres we got there?
I want to say like 55 acres each lot.
About 100 acres.
Yeah,
And what are we doing with the land right now?
nothing, but it's not completely fenced either.
Okay, here we go. There's a couple new cattle guides. And at one time, if I'm not mistaken, when Pat was alive, and we had a discussion about it, to lease it out to the guys with, they had to fence it off themselves,
Right.
okay? So this is what I was thinking. Cause it's, like I said, there's young kids, I call them kids, but they're grown men. And they just started it, they're fixing it up now, pretty nice. So here's my thought. If we could find somebody to lease it, one of them, and do that, that extra money, and I'm throwing it out there. That money we could use for the fire department. Cause it's not, and again, we gotta do our logistics, you know me, I'm one of these guys, there's always you can figure it out. So if we could do that to help the fire department to try and get the storage area they use and all this other stuff, and again, once you get it started, you figure out how to do more than at the same time. But it's an income we're just leaving there.
So unfortunately, because it's water property, there'd be a water fund.
So it wouldn't go to the fire
And
department.
the first year, you probably wouldn't see any money because of the price of getting everything fenced.
Hmm.
I mean, we had got money from COVID. I had gotten like $86,000 from COVID, and I wanted to finish fencing both the water in both wells and out of the plant. Because the problem we really have out of the plant now is we have people that are thinking we're dumb, and people.
I know, that's what you're telling me.
You know, now staying on weekends and doing things too, any area, and there, you know, there's 640 acres out there.
It's a lot of land.
It's a lot of land.
So,
Well, again, then if we can't do that, we can't figure out a way to do it. But it's the idea, we're getting the land fenced off by us leasing it to them. So all this junk that's gonna go there, and they're leaving their oils and whatever else to contaminate the place, okay? Cause as long as I've been here, I thought it was wow, and then now it's all over the place. People leaving stuff all over the place. It's hard to believe, you know? But I thought that would be, I tried.
Mhm.
You know, I thought it would be a good idea if the board could say, well, we're gonna designate that money to the fire department. Because we're really in charge of the fire department, and we're not taking any funds from the people, you know, from the community. I still say we should figure a way how to do this. But that's my idea, but it's still, we should at least try to get it so we can get fenced off,
And
so we don't have to pay for it. Barbara,
as a person who understands about cattle, you wouldn't get very much return on that. You'd have to lease it to them probably for a couple of years in order to build the fence. Because of the amount of cattle, you don't have a lot of foliage. So you would, I mean, 20 head of cattle for a month would be about, if you were lucky, what you could put out there on that 640 acres without somebody having to feed. And most of them, the young cattlemen around, already have either their own property or they have leased property that is on like a 5-year lease. So it's a thought. I mean, you know, just a little input there.
yeah. I watch cowboys, you gotta have so much acres for one cow. I think it was John Wayne who taught me that.
Is that land designated as commercial?
It's our public property, so we can do, I mean, for us, it's for the special district.
Yeah.
It's not commercial to say, but like Barbara said, there was one point in time that, our head operator had asked because they were talking about trying to fence that off, and I know there was a proposal. The people at the inn never brought us back anything in contract. We said we would do that. Pat
I remember
indicated,
that,
the
yeah.
board certificated, and even after Pat passed away, it was like, just bring us the paperwork. Because he said, well, I got this going on with Pat, and I'm like, that's fine, but, I need the paperwork, and I need to be able to show the board and have the board agree on it. Never brought anything to me. And at that point, Royce had asked about doing something similar. And I think Royce figured out for his herd that it wasn't gonna be feasible to pay the money for the fencing on it. Well, it was gonna take a lot of time and a lot of money for him to, and that, it is fenced on 3 sides, it's just the back side of both the well houses. I mean, the wastewater, that's a whole nother thing, because we're only fenced in the middle of our property, so there's a lot of property that needs fenced out of the wastewater plant, but it would be really nice to get that second, because the other problem that we do have is it is in the state of California that we have to fence them out. So unfortunately, in the wintertime, when the neighbors lease their land or run their cattle, they eat on HPUD's land because we don't fence them out.
Mm.
Then we had to put fences off of, by the wells, because each time the well starts, it actually flows out into a little pond, to make sure that you've got clean water going down the pipe. So that way it flushes everything first before the water comes to the community. And we were gathering pretty good ponds, and those, the neighbors' cattle was really wrecking our ponds out there for several years. But now we have that, the ponds are fenced.
Sandy, do you have an estimate on what it would cost to put that fence in?
I did in 2020, I can look up my paperwork, but.
Oh, 2020, it's gone on material, for sure, it's gone way up.
Pretty much used most of the $86,000 that we had from COVID that would have took most of, it would have fenced everything. It would have took care of the greenway, the wastewater plant, and all of those. It was close to about $60,000.
Do we still have any of that COVID money?
It is, well, it's been in our bank account. I
Okay.
mean, but it went into 3 different, I think we separated it as a board, agreed on so much in each fund.
So can we put it on the agenda for next month about fencing around our wells?
Sure.
But shouldn't we try to see if we can find a cattle guy to see if,
Go for it.
huh?
Go for it.
You mean, meet, negotiate?
Yeah.
No,
No.
it has to be a motion by the board for him to
You
go.
bring somebody in that has,
At least to look at it, that type of stuff?
yeah, somebody
So
willing
you
to
think
do
that they
it.
gotta give me permission in writing before I make any commitments?
Well, no,
The board's got to direct you to research that,
Okay,
so.
it's up to them then.
It's up to.
I got no problem doing that. There ain't nothing wrong with asking.
You can put that on the
So
agenda
you
for the
can
next
make a
meeting.
motion now.
No.
Still in the meeting.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're the.
Anybody?
directors.
I'll do it.
Someone make your motion.
Somebody's gotta make a motion.
I make a motion that the board gives me permission to contact cattle guys within our community to see if we can, if they would be interested in leasing our property.
Second. And how many acres would that be, Sandy, out there?
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, could you text them to me so I have the correct figures to I'll act like I know what I'm doing?
Break into our
I'm a cattle
cities so
guy.
I can get the.
I still got my cowboy boots that count.
You know what? That could be dangerous.
Yeah, how can it be dangerous? You forget. I'm Army.
Anything else?
I just want to reiterate the fact that there will be for the community, around Easter time, and they'll be publicized for the free giveaways for the children. And I believe it's gonna be May 31st, the weekend after Memorial Weekend
No,
For the
after
club.
Easter.
for the car
Or
show.
is it Memorial Weekend.
For the car.
No, the week after Memorial Weekend,
would be the car show.
Right, and what is around the Easter time? You were talking,
But that's it. They're gonna have I don't know, a bunch of eggs for the kids and a bunch of
for the church.
stuff, free stuff for the kids, and they're trying to get the community involved in it.
Enosh said they were gonna have 2,000 Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And
They're paying for all real eggs?
they've got.
No,
No,
they're all plastic eggs.
There's prizes in them and prizes even for the
Oh, okay.
adults. He was all excited because he had some nice prizes. Obviously, like the
Right.
barbecue.
Surcharge.
Costco had no eggs today.
Not this weekend either.
Yeah, oh boy.
They bought fall eggs.
Okay.
Hey, Lee, you got something?
No. Oh, thank you, sir.
Mrs. Johnson, do you have anything?
No, I don't. Thank you very much.
Okay. I guess we will adjourn if there's nothing else.
Make a
to
motion,
be
adjourn.
Done.
You must be on a bit, Felix.
3 games are on
Felix,
tonight. all at the
and then
same
seconded
time.
by Lee.
That's the only thing.
Meeting's over at
He's on a
7:07.
He's on a mission.
Yay.
I don't know why it's-
Okay, see everybody next time, hopefully.
Secretary.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm taking notes.
You all next one.
Jim, before you leave,
Huh?
before you leave, you and Eula, if you have meetings for your auxiliary that are in the afternoon, I might be interested in joining.
Okay.
Hey.
Well, she can at least take notes for you.
2 meetings ago, you pointed at me and said,
I know.
your guilt finally came through.
I love it.
Took long enough.
So, hey,